Hey, I wanted to respond to Sophie. If you are new to watching this video, Sophie went on one of my videos and made a bunch of assumptions. Long story short, I did a response video. She ended up apologizing, and I really appreciate Sophie actually apologizing because it allowed us to have open communication. So I wanted to respond to you, Sophie, asking the question why I chose to vote for Trump. Okay, before I actually share with you some of the policies that I agree with and why I saw such a positive impact, let me tell you a couple things that I would highly recommend if you're open to it, Sophie, to research a little bit deeper into. So some of the things that they ran on their campaign against Donald Trump is, number one, he's a sexist and he is a rapist. But if you look into the case that he was convicted for, he claims he doesn't know the woman. Of course, what you're thinking is, of course he's going to say that so that he can get out of being in trouble. However, if you look at the date, there are statute of limitation. Tell me why they were able to break the law and actually allow this case to go through, even though it was a year past the statute of limitation. That's one incident that I want you to look deeper into. The second thing is people claim that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Well, that's obviously not the case anymore because of the Supreme Court. But if you look at the charges that he was convicted on, misappropriation of funds and mislabeling of funds were the bulk majority of it. Not in those exact words, but if you look it up. I want you to research Hillary Clinton in 2016. Hillary Clinton was also caught mislabeling campaign funds. So just asking from a logical standpoint, why is Hillary Clinton allowed to do it, but Donald Trump wasn't allowed to do it? The next thing that was huge on the campaign trail was women's reproductive rights. I wouldn't call it reproductive because reproductive is about supporting the production of children. But when you watch all the videos of what women were really talking about is their abortion rights. That's why Roe v. Wade is so huge in their talking points. But if you look at what happened with Roe v. Wade, he took the power of the federal government being able to determine what the abortion rights were for women, and he gave it back to the states. And who actually determines the law of the state? Not just the governor. Obviously, there is a whole entire process, but at the end of the day, who you elect as your governor will determine what laws are in place for your specific states. And who controls the voting of the governor? The people. So essentially what Donald Trump did was he gave the power back to the people about reproductive, aka abortion rights. So he didn't take away anyone's rights. Now, if a state is completely conservative and is against abortion, well, then that's your civic duty as a citizen in your state to make sure you vote in the right candidates that you see represent you the best. But the problem is, and why he talks about cleaning out the swamp, is corruption is happening at the highest level in the government, at the state level and the federal level. Let me just share with you my own incident of what I watch as corruption happening here in California where I live. So Gavin Newsom has been up for recall multiple times. The last time it happened in 2021, we obviously went to go vote in person and we vote to recall him. And I know that many other Californians can't stand Gavin Newsom. But here's the situation that happened. We went to the voting polls. I was holding our mail-in ballots because if you know what happened in 2020. I did not want to do mail-in ballots. I wanted to do in-person voting. We got to the area. I gave them my driver's license. They checked me in. My husband did his. And you know what's funny? They told my husband that he already voted. His mail-in ballot was already accepted. And I pulled out the mail-in ballot and I said, that's not possible. I'm holding it right here. Long story short, they made my husband call some sort of 800 number to file a complaint. But he didn't get to vote in that election. It actually was pretty much done. Never got a phone call back. Nothing got resolved. My husband just didn't get to vote that time. Those are incidents that make you wonder, is the corruption really that strong? And I would say, from my opinion, yes. So with that being said, and lawsuits coming out that the Biden-Harris administration was censoring citizens, including people like myself, the FBI was involved. Watch all the coercions that are happening at the highest level that we are supposed to trust to watch over us and actually represent. So having all of this being exposed the last couple years has made you wonder, can we truly trust these politicians? And my answer in short is no. Why did I choose Donald Trump? Number one, he's not a career politician. He's actually an entrepreneur. Tell me why all the other career politician presidents' net worth exploded during the time of their presidency and after the presidency, but Donald Trump did not take a salary for the 4 years that he was in office. And if you look up his net worth from the time he entered the office to when he left, he actually lost some of his money. And the two policies that I will personally reference, because I don't like to just talk about things that I didn't personally experience. Number one, when Obama was in place, he put this penalty in place for health insurance that if you didn't have it, you'd be penalized 1% of your income. At the time of President Obama's presidency, my husband and I, as entrepreneurs, we were doing good. However, we weren't doing great. What do I mean by that is there's a funny thing about when you make good income that you don't qualify for any type of assistance. So you are forced to pay for everything, especially when you are self-employed. So health insurance was very expensive for my husband and I. So unfortunately, during the time of Obama's presidency, we didn't qualify to get any type of extra aid. We had to pay for everything ourselves. Unfortunately, we didn't have health insurance on my husband and I. We had it on our kids, but we didn't have it on ourselves because we couldn't afford it. And guess what I got every single year under Obama? I was charged a 1% penalty towards my income because my husband and I couldn't afford to have health insurance. When Donald Trump stepped into office, that penalty went away. So for people like myself and many other entrepreneurs that I call in between, like you make good money that you can be independent from ever getting any government aid, but you don't make enough yet that you can afford like all the extra stuff, I saw relief. The second thing that I saw that was incredible was all these people want to promote that these tariffs that Donald Trump did was bad for the economy. Yes, in the very beginning of my business, did I not enjoy the fact that it became expensive to import goods in from China like I used to? But what I ended up finding out as it played out, I started noticing people like myself started sourcing products locally to the businesses around me. And though it did increase the cost of certain goods to come into America, but that tariff that was put on China and all these other countries, it forced people like myself to start sourcing my business locally. And in turn, what did that do? That actually grew other people's businesses and gave them more disposable income because the success of their business means more money in their bank account. I saw the ecosystem play out that yes, in the beginning I was annoyed by the tariffs. However, when the years went by under Trump, I started noticing local businesses, including myself, thriving from this because it forced us to focus on America. So in short, Donald Trump, in the 4 years that he represented America, he truly showed through my own experience that he put the American people first. Now, you may not like how he talks, but here's the thing. I grew up in a very Asian household, so both my parents were very blunt. And sure, can he eloquently do speeches better? We all have room for growth. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I absolutely respect about Donald Trump is when he says something, he means it. And when he says he's going to do something to the best of his ability, he always delivers. And the last thing I want to add in, just because I am Asian, people claiming that he started a Asian hate movement by calling it the China virus is ridiculous. It actually came from China. Here's the crazy part. Because government is corrupt and Donald Trump is cleaning up the corruption, of course they don't want him in office. But I have a question for you. Look back when 9/11 happened and when Bush went to war with Afghanistan. Guess which citizens in America were at the biggest threat? Muslim people were targeted aggressively during the time of 9/11. But yet, there's no narrative of Bush being racist towards Muslim people. So to close this long video in short, you can see that under the Biden-Harris presidency, you watch all the corruption come to surface, how big media is involved with the Democratic Party, how the government branches are involved in the Democratic Party, and how they would be willing to do anything to get rid of a political opponent that does not fit their agenda. So I choose to follow Donald Trump because I am for a non-corrupt future for my children.
I'm going to say this, young lady. Number one, the fact you explained it so clearly, so specifically, and so intelligently, you pretty much explain why a good number of women vote for Trump. So, one thing I got left to say is, welcome to Team MAGA.